All right, welcome back to the County Gamers. Once again, we have put the Cheez-Its in the underground bunker. They are safely ensconced away, and we will once the alarms trigger, we will safely have our army of Cheez-It boxes to feed us through the impending doom.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah. It's going to be great. So today's podcast there's a lot to talk about today.
Yeah.
Chris has got a list. His list includes Age of Empires 4, Detroit Being Human, Quantic Dream. My list includes WWE 2K21, and I'm going to talk about that. I've talked about it a little bit in the past, but I'm going to get into detail with it now. And then we're going to finish out the show, the podcast, today's episode, talking about phones. And we have two phones on tap today. Chris has picked up the Pixel 5 Pro. And
6 Pro.
6 Pro, sorry. Let me correct that. Pixel 6 Pro. The thing about all these phone numbers, that's the wrong expression. All these phone model numbers, there it is.
Yeah.
The problem with all these phone model numbers is like with the iPhone, we're at like what, the 15, 6, 16?
I don't know what
we're at. Like there's no end to it. Like it used to be cool. Like, ooh, it's the Pixel 2. Ooh, it's the sequel. And now it's like, well, we're on the Pixel 6 and 7 and 8. It's like, then there's no cool names for things now.
Yeah, like the Pixel XV.
Yeah. Well, so like I remember phones back in the day, the smartphones, like the HTC Hero.
Oh, that was a good one.
It was so cool. Like, it's the Hero. And it was legitimately a good phone. But
it was, yeah.
Like we've it's kind of like cars. Like we come up with these names for like the BMW ZX45 35 squared to the root of 69, 22.5. And a half. It's like, I don't even know what that is, and that's the point. I think they're trying to confuse you with the model numbers.
Oh, yeah.
That, or they just have given up of having to try to.
It's a
figure
BMW. They don't
care. Or a Jaguar. Like it just doesn't matter what its model number. You're gonna drive a Jaguar. Jaguar. That's what they say. The British. The Jaguar. Okay. Anyway, off of food and cars, and onto actually computer games. So, Age of Empires 4, Detroit Being Human, WK2, and we're talking about phones, and then we're going to talk about cell phone service in rural Colorado because we are in the county of Morgan.
Yes, we are.
And we are 77 miles away from Denver, about an hour, 15 hour, depending on how you drive. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. But first things first. I have a history with Age of Empires, and we talked about this briefly in a previous episode.
Yep.
When did you start playing Age of Empires?
Let's see. Probably 6 or 7 years ago.
Okay.
It was like when it first came out, I played it, and I loved it. Oh, my goodness, I loved it. It's a good game.
It is. So I came into it with Age of Empires 2. When that released, and then Age of Empires 3. And there is competing thoughts, and we may have talked about this before, there's competing thoughts on what's the better game, Age of Empires 2 or Age of Empires 3. They're both fun. Age of Empires 3 is better graphically.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more mechanics.
It is.
And it's more interesting.
Yep.
But some people say Age of Empires 2 is the actual like gospel truth of the best Age of Empires game mechanically and feature-wise, and what they can do with it.
Yeah.
Now you can. Well, there's probably if we had a comment section for this episode, people would be fighting in the comments already about that. I don't have an opinion. I love playing both of them. Me and my friends, we would do like in the last 10 years. Even last 6 years, 7 years when we were hanging out in Denver, when I was a little bit in Denver, we would get together and have LAN parties with Age of Empires.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, Age of Empires,
fun.
that's an old game. Age of Empires 2 and Age of Empires 3 are many years old.
Yeah, they are.
But what Microsoft did is they figured out a way to make multiplayer still work on LAN.
Yep.
And so you can put a LAN party together and you can still play Age of Empires 2 and 3 multiplayer, and it is fun.
Oh, it is fun.
It's a blast and a half. So both of us have played and have enjoyed and have fond memories of Age of Empires. About a year and a half ago, 2 years, Age of Empires 4 was announced, and people lost their minds because it was the first Age of Empires game in forever, and
good.
One of the first real RTS sequels.
Yep.
I mean, Command & Conquer's been dead for quite some time. There's not a lot of other RTS granddaddies that are out there still putting out content.
Nope.
And so when they announced Age of Empires 4, it was like suddenly the world was a better place. People were like, Age of Empires is coming back. The world, there is a god. Oh my gosh. And they were just losing it.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of anticipation, a lot of like, where's the gameplay? Where's that? Where's that? Where's that? Where's that? And so it took a while, but we finally got it some gameplay. And people started going, okay, all right.
It's not half bad.
And then the game released, and it's been out for a couple months now, I think.
Yeah.
Probably a little more.
Yeah, a couple months.
And I haven't had a chance to play it, partially because I've been playing other things, and my attention's been elsewhere. My goal is this summer to pick it up, and because, again, like classic games, you would like to return to them is just so much fun. Like you just there's that nostalgia, but there's also like, and we've talked about this. Those games were actually well designed.
They were
strong game design happened in these games.
Yep.
As old as they are, and as old as that code is, yeah, it's pretty good. So you have played Age of Empires 4. You've made a video on your YouTube channel about it, which I have not had a chance to watch. So I now turn the floor over to you to talk to me about, and talk to the audience about Age of Empires 4.
Okay, everybody.
Okay, buckle up.
How are y'all doing? Hold on to your draws because it's about to get real up in here. So, I kept seeing it on the Game Pass, right?
Yep.
And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, should I play this game? Is this game going to lead me down a rabbit hole? Am I going to be here for days and days and days and lose track of time? Well, that's exactly what happened. So I downloaded the game, got it on my computer, and I'm like, okay, screw it. Today I'm going to make a video.
Yeah.
And I'm going to upload it because I thought I needed to.
Yeah.
So I uploaded the video, and I played the game, and it was it's so good. Graphically, that game is good. But it's still got that old nostalgic style of the 3.
Yeah.
But it's got new features of it being a newer version. Yeah, it's good. I mean, the mechanics are good. They're a little bit different. I wiped them all out, though. I killed them all. I killed them. They just got murdered. It was so bad. But so I recorded the whole thing in one session. Yep. But I've divided it into 2 because I started the very first, and then it starts a story piece. It was probably about half hour in. Okay. So I've got to cut that first part out. Yeah. And then do the new part. But yeah, it's good, y'all. It's good. It's good. I like it a lot.
Well, and there was considerable worry that somehow Microsoft was going to find a way to screw this up.
Oh, I thought they were too. Screw everything else up. Sorry.
That's a personal opinion from Chris. But so here's what's interesting about Microsoft. So Microsoft has bought a whole bunch of gaming companies.
Yeah, they did.
Over the last year. They recently acquired, was it them who bought Activision, or was it somebody else?
I think it was them. Yeah, I think it was Microsoft.
Anyway, there's been a whole bunch of buying. So, but Microsoft's struggle gaming-wise is, they had Bungie Studios, correct? That was them.
Bungie, yeah.
Yeah, they had Bungie. That was Halo and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And Halo, they released the new game and all that stuff.
One too.
But you haven't really seen a lot of new games from Microsoft. And it's interesting that, I was a Microsoft Flight Simulator kid for the longest time.
Oh, yeah, that's a good game.
Way back in the day, the original couple of versions that are now 20 plus years old. I would play them, and I loved flying planes. I loved the graphics. And the graphics, if you look at the game from 20 years ago, they're terrible. But 20 years ago, they looked amazing. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to do this.
It was really good.
So they released maybe more than a couple years ago, they released Microsoft Flight Simulator X.
It was 5 years ago?
Something like that, yeah.
4 or 5.
And it was really cool. There wasn't a lot of new graphics because they had basically repackaged it from the previous, but they had upgraded it. It looked pretty good, and it was cool and everything. And so people were like, cool. And they're like, I don't know if you know this, Chris, but there are a lot of people out there who are flight sim fanatics. Yep. Then they love it. It is a jam. And I would never besmirch them or say anything bad about them because I've watched their YouTube videos, and it's like any hobby you have. You get into it and you love it, and they will have people who will who will role play air traffic controllers. And you can do it in the game, or you can be, flight 125, please turn 385 and descend 25. And so they can do all that, and you can do that as a team, as a group. And so you have, across the world, you have people who both casual, but also they role play, and they do it as for the fun of it. And so then Microsoft announced they were bringing a new Microsoft Flight Simulator out, and people were like, again, they lost their minds because same thing with Age of Empires 4 was like they're bringing something new. Yep. The cool thing about the new Microsoft Flight Simulator is it uses real-time weather. So if you get in a plane and you set yourself in Denver and there's a thunderstorm in Denver, it will pull the real weather and will actually graphically represent that real time wherever you are. So if you fly from Denver to Florida, and you're flying, and you obviously have to have a wired connection or Wi-Fi, whatever. Yep. It downloads and then creates the weather real time, the real time flying conditions as you're going. So what happened to over a year ago or something like that when we had some hurricane issues. Yeah. Right. So with how the game was built, it was automatically pulling. So people could take their planes and fly it into an actual hurricane in
cool.
Microsoft Flight Simulator.
I'd do that.
It was bonkers. People were like, this is the implications of how this system works, because it literally updates to the second how things are.
That's insane.
And so it pulls like, is it cloudy? Is it pull, and it will represent. So the new gaming engine is legit on Flight Simulator.
Darn.
And so, to my point, I feel this is an I feel statement because I don't know enough about Microsoft gaming studios to say this for sure. But I feel like they're going back to the old favorites.
They are,
and they're doing what no game studios have been able to do. They're doing actually a good job rebuilding and refreshing and rebooting these game series, which are beloved and adored. The graphics on the new Flight Simulator.
Oh, man.
Woza. Like, I was just like, this is real life. And they're constantly adding and updating, and you can download DLCs, and you can get aircraft, and you can get all this stuff.
I think I've actually seen the graphics for that thing. It looked like real.
Yeah.
Is it that one?
They overhauled it, and it is legit, and they continue to do so.
That's crazy.
It's because there's a market for it, right? There's a market for flight simulators, and it's the same thing for city builders. It's the same thing for RTS. There is a market for people who want to buy these games.
Yeah, there is.
And Microsoft, all their faults notwithstanding, Windows.
Don't get me started.
Not trying to start that fight today. But like they have done a really good job. Now I can't speak to Halo Infinite. You played it.
Oh, it's great.
You enjoed it and had a lot of fun with it.
It is fun.
But there hasn't been a lot of like, hey, here's the next IP from Microsoft, because they're and I don't know what it is, if they're just like if they're keeping quiet on whatever it is they're going to bring to the table.
Yeah, I think so.
Or they've run out of ideas, or they're buying all these game companies so they can get new content and new ideas.
They did buy Activision.
Oh, they did.
And Blizzard. Yep.
Well, maybe they can clean up Blizzard, because Blizzard hasn't made anything new recently. Diablo 3 was the latest.
That was a good game.
And that's I mean they've done this.
That was a long time ago though.
Haven't put anything else recently?
No, I don't think so.
Well, and I talk about the golden days of Activision when they owned the Star Trek license. Like, I will always tell that story. Like, Activision was the Star Trek licensed gaming company, and they made incredible games, Star Trek games. There's a new one coming out called Resurgence, and it's actually, I was a little concerned because I saw it come out. We'll take a side trail for a second.
That sounds good to me.
I was worried. So there was a game company called Telltale Games, and the story of Telltale Games is inspirational but heartbreaking, because Telltale Games came out with these games that were branching. So you made a decision and it would branch.
Oh yeah.
And whatever. And so then the story would evolve as you told it. The problem for Telltale Games is they got the license for Walking Dead. They got the license for Batman.
That's where I've heard of.
They had a bunch of licenses, but the problem is the engine that they built became outdated, because you had open world games that were doing so much more. And Telltale had a market on like the cool little design, but the problem was that's all they could do. They couldn't do a Dragon Age. They couldn't do an open world. They couldn't do a Skyrim. They couldn't go beyond the straightforward, almost like a straitjacket that they had created with their gaming engine, because the gaming engine only allowed them to build the exact same thing. So you would, the Batman series that the license they had had the similar pathing and feeling to the Walking Dead ones they produced. And so it just became like, okay, well, this is there's nothing new here. You're just doing the same old thing but with a different property.
Yeah.
And people got tired of it, and it imploded, and Telltale Games died, I believe.
Which sucks.
It does. They started out as a really awesome and like independent gaming, and then they went defunct on October 11th, 2018.
Oh, that sucks.
They were in existence from 2014 to 2018, and it's one of those things where I was just like, it was sad, because they had such potential. If they could have figured out a way to build a new engine and to kind of evolve with the gaming community. So they started in 2004, ended in 2018. So that was the tail end of that, though, was when games were starting to really like you had to have a good, strong engine. You had to be developing constantly
all the time. Yep.
And Telltale unfortunately failed failed that. So So anyway, so the reason why I talk about Star Trek Resurgence and my worry is that ex-developers or former developers from Telltale Games are a part of the company that is producing Star Trek Resurgence. Brunner House LLC. Gotcha. So when I saw that, I was like, oh no, do not Telltale Games my Star Trek. But then I watched the trailer, I watched 4 minutes of gameplay, and you walk around the ship, you actually talk to people, like it seems more open world. It seems like there might be a possibility that we might actually get a good Star Trek game out of this. We haven't had a good Star Trek game in many a year. If you probably don't know this, but we had Star Trek Bridge Commander from Activision.
I've heard of it.
Oh, it's so much fun. You can get it on Good Old Games now on GOG. It's legit. Yeah. It's legit. Then before Activision took over, we had Star Trek: A Final Unity, which is really an old game. That's a deep cut. But that game was a lot of fun. You could do anything you wanted to almost basically, and it was a blast. You got to command the Starship Enterprise. It was fun. So anyway, the Star Trek. And so we'll go deep cut. So even before Star Trek: A Final Unity, there was Star Trek. Interplay had the license. Before that, Interplay, who did Descent, if you remember that game.
Oh, Descent. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So Interplay was also back in we're talking old school.
Yeah.
So they had Star Trek 25th Anniversary. They had Star Trek Judgment Rights, and it was a point and click, but the characters moved around, and those stories were incredible. I have memories of playing Star Trek 25th Anniversary and Star Trek Judgment Rights, and just having a blast. There were puzzles, and you had to figure it out, and you could battle with the USS Enterprise. It was very rudimentary. Like you look at it and you're like, this was cool. It's like, yes, it was.
It was absolutely the awesomest.
It's fun. Ever. So those are that's like the cycle of Star Trek games. It's been pretty good up until when Activision lost the license, and then I think they produced like a Star Trek New Trek video game. I didn't play it because I'm not a fan of New Trek. It's not my favorite, and so hopefully Star Trek Resurgence, fingers crossed. It's a narrative adventure game featuring dialogue choices, relationship building, and exploration, alongside dialogue-driven role-playing. So
sounds cool.
I'm hopeful that it's not going to make me want to throw things. They are saying the game is currently set to release in the spring of 2022, so we're closing in on it.
That's right there.
I suspect that the trailer that it released back in February is a part of that as well.
Yep.
So we'll see how that shakes out. I would love a good Star Trek game. We need one. And that would help like new fans be interested. They're like, oh, Star Trek, let's get into that. They have good games. Versus right now, we don't got anything good. All right, so Age of Empires, any final thoughts?
I don't know, not really. I mean, it's a good game. I mean, it's just a good game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the third one.
It's nice to be able to like say that.
It's just a good game.
It's a good game. Like I love playing it. Like we could talk about the mechanics, we could talk about the gameplay, but it's just fun. Like it's not like I started playing it and immediately I had an issue. Like there was a glitch or something happened or whatever. It's like no, it functioned. It played from start to finish, and the replayability value is I can play it again and again. And if I really want to go crazy, I could do multiplayer.
You could,
and it's weird to say that about a game right now.
Yeah,
because you have you had like Anthem before, which was a disaster.
Oh Lord!
And then you had before No Man's Sky was a disaster launch, and you couldn't do multiplayer, and that was disappointing. Now it's amazing.
It's great.
It's legit.
Yeah, it's a good game.
So it's interesting, like when you have a game that releases and you're like, it actually works like it should. Like it doesn't blow up or nothing. It just works. It just goes. Because every single every single game we play seems like has a day one patch.
It does.
Oh well, day one patch. Like. Okay, so let me talk for a second about this, and then we'll get back to Detroit.
That sounds good.
Being human. Okay, so I've talked about my love and my hate for Sims 4, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 weeks ago, okay, I was not in the loop on this because I try to stay away from the YouTube stuff as much as possible. Sometimes I get sucked into it and I get distracted. Anyway, so 2 weeks ago, the Sims team put out a new pack. Not an expansion pack, but a new pack called the Weddings Pack. And so it takes the weddings how you do it in Sims 4 right now, completely rewrites them. So normally in The Sims 4, when you want to get married, you flirt and you get engaged and you go, oh my gosh, we're engaged. And then you can click and you can hold the ceremony either at the house or you can select a site to hold it at, and it just happens. It's just, there it is. It's done and you're married and moving on. What the wedding pack did is it actually made it so that you had to select a flower person, you had to select a best person, best person or best guy or whatever. You had to select an officiant. You had to get your cake. There's a whole bunch of like ins and outs of having to make it happen. So then you could eventually hold the ceremony at a place of your choosing, which you could build anyway. So,
like in real life.
Yeah, The Sims 4 is supposed to be about real life, but it's not. Sims 3 is as close as we got. Sims 4 is an abomination, and I want it to probably die in a fire. And then be reborn as Sims 5, and it actually works like it should. Anyway, so 2 weeks ago, The Sims 4 released the wedding pack or the wedding whatever. So the previews that were sent out to the players, so they have this group of people called the Crate something. I don't know what they're called. Crate stars. That's not the right word, but they're like a bunch of people who EA works with and who partners with YouTube, and they send them out preview builds, and they review it, and they show it to the fans, and it's kind of like influencers. It's like they're the Sims 4 influencers. Universally, every single Sims 4 influencer or Crate, whatever they're called, was like, this preview build is broken. It's not working. It doesn't work. Like like I put the officiant, I say click on the button that says have the officiant come forward. The officiant doesn't come forward. And best part during the ceremony, none of the Sims that are attending the ceremony are sitting down. They're always getting up. Why? What's going on? Okay, well, can I get the flower person? They call it the flower pal. Can I get the flower pal to come forward and do their flower thing to the front of the venue? Nope. Okay, can I get this person to do that? Nope. Hey, can we have the first dance? Nope. Doesn't work. Can we have the cutting of the cake? It doesn't work. Nothing works. Now, some people have been like, it works for me. But they're the very small minority. So the preview build was not working. So the influencers were like, EA, it don't work. Okay, it's 2 weeks from release. What's going on? So then the actual build comes out. It isn't any better.
It's broke too.
Nothing works. It's an unfinished game. So people are upset. You have these people who they make their living off YouTube and Sims 4 content, and they're like, it doesn't work.
It's broke.
It's broke. Like I can't play this game. The joy that I'm finding is not like what is happening. Like, and there's been no response from EA. No response from Sim 4. All they're doing is just promoting, hey, the wedding's expansion pack is out and it's great. Look at it. Download it. Buy it. Nothing. Radio silence on Twitter, at least as of today, March 13th. It probably will change tomorrow when Monday kicks off.
It probably will.
But it's been like for 2 weeks, these YouTubers have been going, hey, EA, hey, over here, it doesn't work. It's broken. Nothing works. Nothing. And so these YouTubers are and here's the thing. And what's hilarious about it is some of these YouTubers, the scales are off their eyes. Like they know the EA has totally blown apart the Sims 4 franchise.
Here's the
thing. So there was an expansion pack. I'm going to get off my soapbox in just a second. But because I played the Sims 4 and I bought it many years ago. I have bought a lot of the expansion packs over time. I am done. I've cut them off. I'm still playing it. But anyway, so there was an expansion pack that came out a couple of years ago called Dine Out. And it allowed you to build a restaurant and have cooks and have waiters and have hostesses.
That's cool.
And it's like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. It's been broken since launch. Customers will come in and the hostess will seat them. Guess what the customers do right after they get seated? They stand up.
They stand up.
And they go talk in the corner. And then eventually they go down and order their food. And they don't sit and wait for their food. No. One of them might get up and go talk to somebody else. And so, but it's been that way since the beginning.
Oh, man.
It has not worked at all. And for it to be this bad for this long,
that's
when the issues with the wedding thing came out, I was like, this doesn't surprise me at all.
It's done, man.
But I think the errors and the brokenness of the wedding pack is so much worse. It's the worst they've seen it. They're just like, actual gameplay functions don't work. It is, and here's the best part about it. So when you install the pack, it overwrites the wedding function into its. So you with some games, like if you install the pack, you go, okay, hey, I don't want these features in my gameplay. Hey, could you not have that part of the game active? Let me play something. I'm going to play the old version without this. Doesn't happen in this game.
Ooh.
So the wedding pack overwrites it. So what you would have to do is you have to uninstall the pack with all of its new features, and some of them are cool. Like some of the stuff works, but not all of it. And so then you have to so it's like there's some really cool stuff in here, but now I can't play the cool stuff because it breaks my weddings, and I can't actually get married with the way that. So now the wedding, I don't know how to get married.
Goodness gracious, that's nuts.
And there are a lot of people who play Sims. Sims is a multi-billion-dollar franchise. It is worldwide. It has been going on for some time. And the Sims 4, when it launched, a lot of people bought into it. A lot of people buy these packs. I'm one of the people who bought the packs up until recently. I was just like, why am I throwing out $30 per pack for stuff that doesn't work? And you don't fix the stuff that's already broken in other packs. You just add layers of brokenness to it already.
Sounds like Microsoft.
Ugh. And what the worst part about it is that EA, they keep doing it. They'll do it with every franchise. They did it with Battlefield. They did it with Sims. They did
What's their excuse?
They don't care. So here's the thing with 2K. When you buy 2K, whatever, it's like they're making money. They don't care. Oh yeah, no. But here's the thing, because I think the reason why it works is people keep paying the money. Yeah. Somebody out there keeps paying them the money for the games, and they're making money.
It's lots of people.
The balance sheet is still in the positive.
Yeah.
So as far as EA and 2K and these companies are concerned, people will just keep paying.
Yeah.
Now, as a fan, I'm just one dude, and I have stopped paying. I've stopped buying the expansions. I'm done. I will go back. I'll still play Sims 4. I started a replay yesterday. I'm having a lot of fun, and it's kind of cool because they've introduced some new things. And since I last played a year ago, and I'm like, okay, all right, let's see what this does. My character already has a significant other. It's a high school kid, and they're trying to get A+, and they're getting calls, and they're having to figure out how to be responsible. There's a lot of cool features that they've introduced in Sims 4 for that are great.
Yep.
The problem is they haven't fixed everything else. So that's the struggle. Is that I'm not enough people, or I and those of us who've given up on EA. There's not enough of us saying no for EA to go. It doesn't. We're not worried about it. You don't care. And it's like, you gotta care, because at some point, this usually EA or the Maxis team will come out and say, hey, okay, this screwed up. We're working on this update. It's been radio silence for 2 weeks.
See, that reminds me of Newegg.
Yes.
So, because Newegg did kind of something similar. All these customers were complaining, we tried to return this and it wasn't right. They told us we broke it.
Yeah.
And then one guy who has 1 million subscribers says, I sent the box back to you. I never opened it. And you denied my return. And then I was like, we better do something about this.
We now have egg on our face at Newegg.
That's the problem. Yeah. That's the wrong answer.
Yeah.
The answer is you fix it for everybody, not just for one person.
Right. Yeah, just because he's 1 million followers.
Yeah.
No, now you're embarrassed. But before, they didn't have enough of a voice to express a concern. And I think, again, we sound like these curmudgeon-y, you ever watch the Muppets, Statler and Waldorf?
The Muppets.
Statler and Waldorf, who are in the balcony, and they're always and they're always making fun of everybody on the stage. It feels like sometimes we turn into Statler and Waldorf on this show.
I'm perfectly fine with that.
You've accepted your role as the cranky old man from the balcony.
Yeah,
all right, I'm still fighting it, but I'm going to accept it eventually.
Yeah.
But I think, because it's so hard to look at gaming today and go, there's a lot going well, and there are certain things. But overwhelmingly, gaming companies are not. They don't care about the gamer.
They don't.
They don't care about the actual consumer. They just care about, hey, this 15-year-old kid will buy Call of Duty again, and he'll get mom and dad's credit card and buy all the loot boxes and all that stuff, and that'll line our pockets. There's a reason why Valve hasn't made a new game in forever, because Steam and the purchases that are made through Steam make them money.
Lots of money.
That is, and so Valve once was the darling.
They're awesome.
Wow, this new game. Oh my gosh, they got it. And then it was done.
Yeah.
They
Half-Life.
They became the gaming provider. Now, whether or not that was the smartest decision they could have made, it is, because it's made them money, and they've become, you get your games on Steam.
Yeah.
You don't buy them from it. I mean, now it's all, EA has their own, and everybody has their own electronic store, but Steam is the granddaddy. Steam is where you go.
That's where you go,
And it's provided by Valve. Yeah. And so they transitioned, and I feel like they should still, there's such a history with that studio, and there's such a potential for new games.
Man, they're
but
talented.
I guess they've given up and gone over to the side of making that money on those games.
But they did make that new one.
Half-Life,
Alex.
Yeah, but it was VR only.
Which
so I can't play it because I don't have a VR set.
I'm not playing that crap.
VR, I think, has been sold as like it was sold like 3D TVs were. Oh, you get a 3D TV, it's going to be amazing. This is the future. It's not the future. No. It's pretty cool. Don't get me wrong. I would love to buy me a VR set and like afford that because it's not going to happen. Yeah. But it's like, I don't play games for that.
No.
I play games with my monitor. I play games with my controller. Like, I still need to be able, like that I don't think will ever go away.
My hands, man.
Yeah.
Hand and eyes. Yeah. I love doing that. Yeah. That's what I do. I don't.
Well, the reality of it is that we're within the standards of gaming, we're dinosaurs. Like it's eventually,
we are.
Eventually, I'm sure 20 years in the future, VR will just be a thing that everyone does.
It will be. Yeah.
But I am not gonna. I don't have. First, I can't afford it because those VR, like a good VR set, isn't cheap.
$300-400 bucks.
And so you're also paying for that. And you're paying the game, and then you got to buy the controllers, and then you got to make like it's a lot. And I just am like, you know what? I'm happy with my keyboard. I have recently transitioned over to a controller. Like I'm that's as far as I'm willing to go or spend, for that matter, in that situation. So the Sims 4 situation is indicative, I think, of a bigger symptomatic problem with EA.
Yeah.
But people like notable Sim 4 like YouTubers have been extraordinarily critical in the last 2 weeks.
Well, I imagine.
Like unusually critical. Like they've just been like, no, this sucks. This is bad, and I don't know what happened, and I'm mad, and I'm concerned about the future of The Sims 4.
Oh.
Because when The Sims 3 came out, it was a whole neighborhood. You didn't have loading screens.
Yep.
Sims 4 changed that. Loading screens get you from place to place, and so you no longer have this open world that functions. And they claim because of performance, whatever. But it's like there's
they
got
designed it.
Yeah, you're the designers. Figure it out.
Yeah.
So it's really. I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna say if I was going to be continuing in my Sims 4 purchases and support, I would be very concerned. I would be like, you know what, this is not the Maxis and Sims world that we know and love, and this is not how you develop and foster a community of gamers who have been with you for 10, 15 years.
That's crazy.
It's not good, and someone's gonna come in and take over Sims 4. Like the mantle of like, there's a game called Paralives, and they're developing. They're making moves, and they're showing off some tech and some abilities within their game footage that rivals and can almost outperform Sims 4.
Darn.
That's what happens with SimCity. So SimCity launched the last game from them, and it was you had to be online all the time. That was a big old disaster.
That's stupid.
And the cities were smaller. And you couldn't, and so it was all these limiting, like, well, this is the future of SimCity. People were like, you're kidding, right? So SimCity launch and the resulting disaster. So then Paradox comes in and begins developing and then releases City Skylines. City Skylines owns the city building corner of the block. It is legit. Good. I love that game. I've been playing it since the beginning. I played it yesterday. I love going in there. I just love the unique. It is with the packs and with everything else. They are so Swiss Army knife and how they are. You can create a city full of industry, or you can create a city full of farmland. You can create a rural community with farmland and fishing, and like there's so much you can do. And the new thing that came out with the airports pack, you can build an airport by piecemeal, and it is just there's so much with City Skylines. But that's what Paradox did. They didn't give up. They kept innovating, and they've continued to innovate, and they continue to change the game. And it's like, you know what, Maxis, EA, this is why you're losing, because people actually who want to produce the content for the people who want to play the game are putting it out there, and they're making marks. They're making progress against you. There will never be, and knock on wood, I doubt there will ever be another SimCity game in the next 5 years.
Yeah,
guarantee you it's not being developed.
They've jacked it up, man.
Well, and there's already City Skylines. How do you compete with a game that actually functions and does what it's supposed to do?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll get off that horse and try and find our way back.
That was a good one, though.
Oh, jeez. Glad somebody enjoyed it. I don't
good.
know how I felt about it. All right. So, Detroit Being Human.
Man.
This is a game that I have been eyeballing from a distance since it released.
Me too.
Now, you've played it.
I bought it. I bought it.
So for Chris, if you're playing along in the home game, you're wondering, well, why is that a big deal for Chris? Because Chris usually plays on Game Pass.
I do.
And so he plays all his games there, and so he pays, how much is a month for the Game Pass?
$15.
So you have access to a lot of games. You can play them, and then you cycle through and you do whatever.
Yep.
So for Chris to buy a game, there's a big deal there. That's a vote of confidence from a man who does not traditionally purchase games.
Yeah.
So walk us through Detroit Being Human. What is the good, the bad? What is the amazing? Why is this game something you should be playing?
Why is it so good? So I hit the power button yesterday, started the game up, and I'm sitting there in my chair, and I'm greeted by this creepy robot lady who looks so freaking incredible. Graphically, it's not pretty, but that would be weird. Graphically,
Okay.
the image was so sharp.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to think. I was like, what the hey? How is it this good? And then they got into the story.
Yeah.
And so the story starts out. So you're an investigator. You're investigating this shooting that has happened.
Okay.
Where a robot has taken a human life.
Okay.
Now, oh my God, I don't even really know how to explain this, but I'm gonna attempt.
Okay.
So you start off. You walk in. You've got to investigate certain areas of the room that you're in.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's a guy laying on the ground. He's dead.
Right.
Floor.
He's the victim, whatever.
He's the victim. Yep. He had a tablet that went flying across the room, and you're sitting and you walk in, and you can analyze the environment. Oh my goodness, how do I explain this? It is really hard to explain. You right click.
No.
Because I like mouse.
Yeah.
And you can spin the entire environment around.
What?
You can see through the walls.
What?
It is just, you'll see.
Okay.
I'm releasing the video today.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
I've got like 4 of them to do to release. But so you can like analyze the environment. You kind of spin the entire environment around. You can analyze like clues and stuff like that. Man, that game is nuts.
That's crazy.
That was worth my $20. Wow. It's half off right now till tomorrow.
Oh boy, I'll have to look at that now.
And it's just graphically, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Now, I did run into a glitch.
Oh.
I was standing at this crosswalk and got stuck in front of some people and couldn't move.
Oh no.
I like turned this way, I turned that way, turned to the right, turned to the left.
Yeah,
my character wouldn't move until they got out of the way.
Oh jeez.
But they did move.
So eventually, it wasn't a game-ending glitch.
Yeah.
It was just kind of frustrating to be like, okay, why is this? I had that happen. I was playing Cyberpunk 2077, and like, the new update happened like less than a month ago, and I was playing a mission, and I got stuck.
Yeah.
In a place that I shouldn't have gotten stuck.
It's like, come on.
And I was like, why is this happening? Stop it. I haven't gone back to it because I still want to play it. Even in its fixed state, it's not next gen. It doesn't feel revolutionary.
Yeah.
It just, I think, that's the part that makes me sad because these are the same people who brought us The Witcher 3, which if you've played The Witcher 3 is with the Game of the Year edition with all the DLC, it is an incredible game.
Good game.
The depth and the breadth of that game is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
The way the mythology from the book series and the game series, and how the mechanics are built, and the different worlds and the interactions you can have with people.
Oh yeah.
Like you look at Witcher 3, and then you look at Cyberpunk 2077. What happened?
That Keanu Reeves in it.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
How do you screw that up?
Yeah, I know, right?
But I think here's the thing: the difference between Witcher and Cyberpunk, and this is going to sound really corny and be like, yeah, no kidding, is time. So Witcher 3 is built in a world like it's not technological. It's horrors, it's paths, it's grass. You have to walk.
It's awesome.
It's very organic.
It is.
I hate that word, but it's very organic in how it functions.
Yeah.
You have to use the environment and navigate and get where you want. Cyberpunk 2077 is based in 2077, and it's cars, it's skyscrapers, it's like there's a lot more movement and a lot more involved, like traffic and everything else like that. And while I appreciate, like, I would never denigrate the idea of the game. The storyline is strong.
I've heard it, so it's a good story.
If it was to actually function like the way it should. But like, the problem is if you are going to go from one end of the spectrum to the other when it comes to producing a game and a game mechanics, you really got to know it's got to work. And the problem for 2077, we all know this now, is it was rushed.
It was
unfinished. Yeah, false promises were made, and people were put under stress to release the game. It was not what it should have been.
Man,
and
you gotta quit doing that.
Well, and that's the thing is you have like you look at The Witcher 3 and you go, why couldn't you do it here? What was the disconnect? And there were a lot of them. between that and that, because you look at Skyrim, you look at Dragon Age, you look at those series, but here's the next worry though, right? We've talked about this before.
Yep.
Okay, so Skyrim is finally either in production or it's on its way. God. Allegedly, it's going to take forever because, of course, they've got Starfield that they're finishing up or trying to get finished.
Oh,
so you got that, and then you've got Dragon Age, which is still not. It's being built, but it's not. There's no release date currently that I know of. So you have all these games. So the problem is, you've got Cyberpunk 2077 is the latest real big release. Now we're going to talk about WWE 2K20 here in a second, 21 in a second. But that was the last big release.
Oh, yeah.
So the next release that's coming our way is going to be Starfield.
Yeah.
It'll be Elder Scrolls 7 now, and then it'll be Dragon Age 5 is what that will be. So there's those three big properties, right, are coming our way. My worry is if Cyberpunk 2077 couldn't deliver, there is considerable concern that these 3 game series are really going to have to work hard to land well. And we know Bethesda's history. We know
their history, man,
their Fallout, the Fallout disease that they have carried and not been able to cure themselves of.
Yeah.
And they keep releasing Skyrim on different platforms. They've released it on everything basically now. You can
probably in every language.
Yeah, in everything. You can play it anywhere and everywhere now. But that's the fact that they keep going back to that well, and there's Starfield's in progress, and we're working on it. It's gonna have a better engine. Okay, Todd. Well, I didn't believe you about everything else, so I'm not going to believe you. So, there's that trust, right?
Yeah.
As gamers, we trust in companies that provide solid entertainment and solid gameplay.
Yep.
Microsoft, I have more faith in Microsoft right now than I do Bethesda, which is funny because I think Microsoft bought Bethesda.
They did, yeah.
So now if I can only hope that they've quarantined the disease in Bethesda so it doesn't spread.
It's in one area now.
Yeah, you're in the corner. Go there. Stay out of there. We're putting up the signs. You're not allowed out.
Funny.
You're in timeout for a long time until you get your games better. Yeah. But BioWare is Dragon Age. BioWare, they're the guys who did Anthem. You have to worry and wonder. Okay. So there's that unsettled feeling that. The next big game release, from the next big studio between those 3 has got to be good, because I don't
have much faith in them because if you're gonna make a game, and it is your bread and butter, you make a darn game that's good, you make it the best you can possibly make it, because you're not gonna get off on your looks. It don't matter how it looks.
Right.
It may at first, but eventually people are going to play it and say, this game just sucks.
Yeah, this is terrible. I'm not playing anymore.
And they're going to see it on YouTube. Yep. You're going to have millions of people watching it on YouTube, and they're going, I'm not buying this game.
Yeah. Well, they even, you can see stats on gameplay.
Yeah.
On, Steam, and there are places where you can check to see how many players are concurrently playing a certain game. And that's been a lot of what people have noticed of certain gaming genres or gaming properties is no one's playing this game anymore. It has dropped. It is not, and that's what gaming companies want to see is they want to see people concurrently playing the game and making it with Elden Ring. Elden Ring has exploded. People are playing that game like crazy. But again, the designers were intentional. So here's where we're going to cross into WWE 2K21 because I think we're approaching that territory, and then we'll swing back and talk about Quantic Dream and our phones, which is I think we'll round up the show.
Okay.
So I think I've talked about this story. So WWE 2K20 comes out. Now, before they came out, Ukes, which is a developer who worked with 2K and does work with other companies, Ukes announced they were stepping away and they were separating themselves. They were leaving the WWE 2K20 project.
Yep.
People freaked out because Ukes was the big part of the programming for WWE 2K games. Ukes brought the magic. They brought the knowledge and the understanding of how to program the move sets and to program the reactions and to program the wrestling. They knew that was their bread and butter. They knew how to do it.
Yep.
For whatever reason, and I'm sure there's a story there that I have to research at some point.
Oh, I'm sure.
Ukes left, and they announced they were going to go make their own game, and they were done. So everyone freaked out. They said, EA? Or it was 2K. This was 2K this time. 2K, what are you doing? 2K!
Hello.
So oh my gosh. So they flew a bunch of influencers out to play the game. Mm-hmm. And what was funny about it is the influencers came back to their YouTube channels and they said, so the people who were with the minders who were at the place with us, they told us kind of just to be honest, and they said they're okay with us telling you how it is. And it was like this moment of like, wait, the people who were showing you the game were like, yeah, be honest about it. It's okay. We know it's not the greatest. And I was just like, wait, what?
What? That's
and
weird.
So I know, but so part of it is because Ukes pulled out, the 2K team, they had not. I feel like this is an accurate statement. I feel like they hadn't treated probably Ukes well. They hadn't learned from Ukes.
Exactly.
They hadn't taken the knowledge and applied it. And so when Ukes left, the guys didn't know how to do it, or the girls, or whoever. The people didn't know how to make the game the way it needed to be. So when 2K20 came out, it was bad.
Oh, I imagine.
It was bug-ridden. Like, it was insane. The game was broken. It was not playable in the way that it should be playable.
Darn, that's
Features
crazy.
were missing. Features were broken. Features didn't work. Even after patch after patch after patch, nothing worked like it should.
That's
and
bad.
So here's the thing. Similar to the Sims 4 YouTubers, right?
Yep.
They make their content on episodes and let's plays, especially with the Sims world. They tell stories. So they'll invent a story about a character and be like, okay, well, this is Mortimer Gerd, and he has a child, and they'll play out the story, and they'll tell a whole family history over 100 episodes as they role play their Sims characters. And do that, and it's really cool because they get a lot of views and people love it and they watch it, and it's a part of entertainment.
Yeah,
no shade on that. There are WWE, there are people who play wrestling games and who are a part of the WWE fandom, who that is their bread and butter. One of them is, and he's one of my favorites. His name is Chris Danker. He actually he made his in-ring debut at an independent wrestling place about a month ago, or whatever. So he has made WWE wrestling content since the SmackDown versus Raw days.
Good Lord.
He has been at it a long time. Dude's good. Dude's legit. So he makes there's modes in WWE 2K whatever, where you can do universe mode and you can tell your character story there. There's also like my character or my superstar mode where I can tell the story of my superstar going through WWE, and there's a lot of cool story content. And there was branching, like it was legit. You could tell a story over 100 episodes. Now, that translates to ad revenue. That translates to views. That translates to likes. That translates to a lot of content building up. On top of that, if you use Patreon or whatever service you use, you've got commerce. You've got an economy with your content.
Yep.
So for Chris Danker and Brandon does everything and all these YouTube guys, they were like, we can't make this their YouTube channels and the content they were creating for with WWE 2K20.
Yeah,
they couldn't. The game was so broken, and so
bad.
Not only that, but the story. So it was called, what's it called? It's My Career Mode or something, and it was horrible. The writing was terrible. It was so corny and cringe. Like I watched a couple episodes and I'm like, I hate this. I don't want to watch this anymore.
Yeah.
And and so Chris and the other guys were like, yeah, this is stupid. Why is this doing this? This is the dumbest storyline I've ever seen. And so they started hating it, like hating having to play through it. And so when you get a YouTube creator who hates making their own content, you got a problem.
You got a big problem.
And so it became a really awful experience for those creators. And so across the board, there was no love for WWE 2K20. And so all these creators now had to figure out, okay, how do I make content if this game isn't going to be out for another year? What am I going to do? So they had to go and they defined like, let's play some old games. Let's play some old stuff. Let's go find some alternative games. We're going to find it. And Chris did. And Brandon does everything. All these guys, they found content and they created.
Yeah.
When WWE announced they weren't going to produce a WWE 2K21 because it was they still needed to do a lot of work, that's when everybody kind of freaked out a little bit more. And they're like, we got another year of content we got to figure out. We don't have a game. So they went back to WWE 2K19. They went but it was 2 years of nothing. And so all these content creators are having to figure out, how do I create content that is wrestling themed, that's my channel, that's my economy, that I'm making money and my living on, because a gaming company can't get their game right. So WWE 2K22 launches this week or last week into this weekend, and it is an absolute game changer. I am not I played it for an hour today.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I played it for an hour today, and I was like, what is this magic? Like, what? This is so hard. This is challenging. Like, it's really making me work. I watched Chris Danker's so it's called My Rise now.
Yeah.
And so your character goes through the Performance Center, which is like the academy for wrestlers at the WWE.
Yeah.
And the depth of the storyline is insane. It is rich. As a language arts teacher, as a literacy guy, I can identify good story.
Yeah.
And I was like, they actually did their homework this year. They actually made a strong game. Like, you can choose your path. So if you go back and you start another run, you can choose different reactions and different matches and different stuff, and it totally changes your character's
That's the way a good game is.
Well, and we talked about how important it is to have an avatar that represents the player and allows the player to choose.
Exactly.
My biggest complaint, and we've talked about this with Dying Light. Dying Light, the game starts off and you're flying in and you're the guy and you have to get the secret ingredients and all that kind of stuff. And you end up, and I haven't gotten to that point yet. I've been playing for about 3 or 4 hours on the original Dying Light. You end up destroying a bunch of vaccines because they're like, oh, well, you have to destroy it because you have to do this. And he's like, I don't want to do this. As a player, I was like, this makes me mad. I want to be able to choose not to destroy these vaccines. And I want you as a game designer to think of a way so that then there's a consequence for me not doing that. So then I have to deal with that consequence.
Exactly.
In Dying Light 2, it gets a little better. But that, like, I'm still playing, and I know that it gets better. I know that I make a choice, and I turn the corner as eventually as a character. But I don't want to be the bad guy. Mm-hmm. And I don't like it. And I know their goal is to make you uncomfortable as a player.
It is. Oh, yeah.
But it's like, it's continued. Like, I'm still talking about it weeks later. I haven't been back to Dying Light. It nags
you, man.
It does, because it's like, I don't like that. Yeah. That's my character. That's me. I'm playing me in this movie, whatever. And I don't like the fact that I destroyed these vaccines that could save an entire group of people in my who are sheltering me. Anyway, so WWE 2K22, the avatar, it is like, it is a lot of fun to watch. I haven't played the My Rise yet. I just literally got it today, and I was just like, like, in the fight, the wrestling, wrestling mechanics in the ring. Dude, I'm putting up 4-star matches. In WWE 2K19, I could just cheese my way through and get like a 2-star match and be done. This game makes me fight for it.
Oh, it does.
Like, I'm going, oh my gosh, this is rough. Like, I'm not putting this dude away. But that's when you know a game. It's not impossible.
Good.
Like, I can get to the end and I'll figure out a way to beat the character. But it's like Elden Ring. You have to buff up. You have to be ready to face your enemy. And the way that you get there is to play the game progressively through the paths to eventually then you can fight the big boss. You can fight the next boss and whatever.
That's a good game.
Game design. It matters so much.
It matters a lot.
And and it's so weird to be talking about WWE 2K22 as a good game.
Yeah.
Given that 2 years ago, the disaster that the community had was just like, what have you done at EA? Well, it was 2K. Sorry, I mixed up 2K and EA. They're both cut from the same cloth. They both can be jerks in what they produce, and that's the truth. I'm not even lying about that. That's not an opinion. That's the truth.
That's a fact. Yeah,
because Stone Cold said so. Okay, so I just All right, so we're probably going to split this up into 2 episodes actually, because we are still going to talk about phones. So we'll finish off. We'll finish off with Quantic Dream, and then we'll cut another episode about phones and stuff like that.
Well, so I think Quantic Dream is actually, if you look at my screen there,
it
looks like
that's the studio.
The studio
that's the
makes
studio
the game. That makes the game.
We're amazing gamers. We do our research here.
Yeah, we do.
I was like, Quantic Dream, I haven't heard of this game yet. And all of a sudden, no, it's actually that's the developer for Detroit Stay Human.
I think it is.
We're amazing. We do.
Man, we are so.
We do great things here.
We're so good at this.
We're
be jealous.
or worried.
Worried.
Either way. All right. Well, I can talk about some other games here. So, there's a game called Crusader Kings 3. It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
And they recently revamped the dynamics for the game where they put an update through, and so it's a lot of fun there.
Yeah.
I haven't played Dying Light 2 a lot lately. I need to get back into that.
Yeah, you did buy it, didn't you?
I did, and I definitely need to play that more. But yeah, it's weird. Like Cyberpunk 2077, the update was like, hey, it fixes everything, and I don't. It's weird. Like maybe. So I'm at that point where I will go see the princess, what's her bucket in the tower, and that's the end game. That pushes us towards the end game. Anything you haven't finished up until that point, you need to do before you enter that tower.
Yep.
And it's really weird because normally with a game that pushes me where I've reached the point where it's time to do the end game and try to and then I'll be able to do whatever afterwards. Like I don't want to, and it's not that I don't want to; it's that I'm not motivated. Like the game has done so wrong by me with the issues and all that.
Yeah.
Like with The Witcher 3, like I love replaying that game. I'm replaying it for like the third or fourth time right now.
Oh man!
And I am loving the twists and turns. I'm loving the different ways and the different choices I make. And I'm just loving having fun with that game because it's rich. But with Cyberpunk 2077, it's like I just don't care to finish it. Like I'm sure it's a great ending. I haven't YouTubed it because I don't want to spoil. But it's just like I don't want to.
Just don't want to.
And that's really hard for me because if I pay that money for a game, I should want to finish it.
Yeah, you should.
I should want to go and finish the game. But it's like, I don't care about the characters. Like, so early on in 2077, right? Like you're supposed to care about them.
Yeah,
so early on in 2077, you've got Jackie and your character.
Yep.
And you care about Jackie. And the loss of Jackie, spoiler alert, when Jackie dies, that hits. That hurts. You're like, oh. But once Jackie dies, there's nobody constantly with me. Like there's side characters who hang out and I check in with, but I don't have a buddy. I have Johnny Silverhands, which is, what's his bucket? Neo. Oh, Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves, yeah.
Wow, that was a brain.
Woo!
That was a brain blank. But like, I look at. Like, but Keanu's not. He's an adversary in a lot of that game.
Oh, he is.
Like, because you got his brain in your brain, and you're fighting with him. With Jackie and the character dynamics, we were a team. Like, I was like, yeah, cool, let's do this. I felt like I could keep going on with him. Like, if he had survived or something, or I had gotten another partner, I would feel more like, I want to go on this journey with this person. Yeah. I want to continue. But there's not anybody that's with me consistently enough to go on that journey within this game. And that maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's because I need...
It could be, yeah.
I need someone... I have that need. I had that in the beginning of the game with Jackie, and now it's like, well, I want more of that. And I'm not a game designer by any stretch of the imagination. But it's weird, like, right? Like, you're like... Yeah. I need my Jackie. I want my Jackie.
Need somebody else.
I need somebody to hang out with me. I need someone narratively to come alongside me and be like, hey, let's go do this. Let's finish the job. Hey, I'm here to back you up. Let's do this. Yeah.
Warzone's the same way, though.
Yeah.
You ever tried to play it by yourself?
No.
You're just like sitting there. Okay, I died again.
Yeah.
And then I died again.
Yeah.
And now I'm dying again.
Yeah.
But I'm dying by myself.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
It's not the same without somebody.
No.
It's just not.
Well, and that's so we can switching gears a little bit. We talk about Tom Clancy's the games I have of his. So I have Ghost Recon, Breakpoint, and that gives you 3 other NPC soldiers who are with you. But it's fun because you can order them to help you and they back you up.
Oh yeah,
it's the same thing with other games like Dragon Age, Inquisition. You had, and even the other Dragon Ages, you would have a party with you.
Yeah,
you would have a group of people with you. Skyrim, you could get a person to come along with you.
You could, yeah.
And you could, and they would be there to talk to you, and they would say things as you're walking, and be like, "Yeah, you're right, man. This cave is really creepy. We should be careful." And you're like, "Wait, I just talked to an NPC out of nowhere. Oh my god, this is real." But
I've done that before.
Yeah, you're like, "Oh no."
Yeah, I've done that before.
But that's when you go, okay, this game is real. Yeah. This is a good game because I'm actually talking to an NPC out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Or like if I'm playing, I'll be like, all right, Serana, like you got to back me up on this. Let's go. And like I'm not actually communicating with her, but like she's been such a presence in the game with me so far. Like there's no question. Like she will be with me through the end. And that's the power of a good companion in a game and good game mechanics. And so with 2077, I get it. Like someone had to die. Like that's the hero's journey, right? Someone has to die.
Yep.
But it feels. Oh, this is gonna sound. I'm sure the game developers out there, if they're listening, which they would never listen to this podcast, are like, yeah, that was the point. It makes you feel empty.
It does. Yeah.
And because there's no one to replace Jackie, you just kind of go.
It leaves a hole in you.
Yeah, and you're like, I need that hole back. Yeah. Like I don't want to be fully filled. I want to still like be like, you're not Jackie, but you'll do like. I need that. But this game doesn't want to do that, so I just.
That's why I didn't buy it.
You probably shouldn't. At this point, I regret it, and this spring break is coming up. I might just finish it and not even try and play all the side missions and just be like, I'm gonna find out finally what happens, and then I'm gonna shut this game off for the rest of my life and come back when it's actually workable. Yeah.
That's why I'm picky with buying games. That's why, because I don't.
You would think I would learn my lesson.
Except for so Elden Ring, I am mad. Is it Elden Ring?
Yeah, Elden Ring.
So that game, man, some of the bosses in that game are rough.
Yep.
I've watched some of the gameplay.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible.
It's nuts, but and there's so much.
Yeah.
A student of mine here at Lincoln is playing Elden Ring. He's like 35 hours in, and he's only like gotten like 30% of the game explored. Like, it's expansive, and there's a lot. There's a lot of secrets. There's a lot of caves.
You have students here that actually will play that game?
Yeah, Elden Ring. Yeah, one of my students does. Yeah, he loves it. He absolutely adores it. So we talk about it sometimes. Most of my kids probably are like Call of Duty kids.
Oh yeah.
But he's an Elden Ring guy. He loves Destiny 2.
Oh, he does.
He plays that like crazy. He bought the Witch DLC, and he says it's the best DLC the game has ever had. So I'm like, all right. Eventually, I'll get back on that train.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. So yeah, there you go. That's disappointment, but also like joy. But it's not. There's not enough balance in there right now. It feels like we're still in that valley of gaming. Like, we have some good games out there, and we've had WWE surprise us with 2K21 or 22, like legit, like it's quality. But it's also like, oh, we got some work to do.
When are they going to get their crap together, man?
I don't know. Maybe by the apocalypse. The apocalypse, sponsored by Cheez-It.
That was good. Oh, man, we could do like commercials.
We've come full circle. So for all your apocalypse needs, which may or may not come sooner or later, depending on how the gaming situation straightens out, use Cheez-Its. They will get you through, and with cheesy satisfaction. I have no idea what that means, but there you have it.
That was pretty good.
I'll take pretty good.
Yeah.
My name is Aaron.
And my name is Chris.
And this has been the County Gamers. Stick around. The next episode next week, we'll be talking about phones. We're literally going to hit the stop button and record it, but you'll get it next week. And more gaming to come here as we continue. So we'll talk to you later. Have a good week.
Yes.
Do good. Be like, take some time in game. Find a good game.
Yeah. Love some people too.
That too. I mean, don't hunker down in your like cave.
Yeah, I know. Completely separate.
And hermit yourself away.
Yeah.
The world needs you.
Yes, they do.
And yeah, we need you. So.
We need you. Yeah. It's facts.
Until next time.
You've been listening to the County Gamers Podcast, presented by Create at Morgan Productions, located in Fort Morgan, Colorado, USA. For more information on our production house, other podcasts that are hosted here, and further details, please visit www.createatmorgan.org. You can find us on Twitter at the handle CreateAtMorgan. Create at Morgan is a school club at Lincoln High School, our alternative education campus here in Morgan County. Our sponsor is Aaron DeLay, the language arts teacher at Lincoln. Send any feedback to adelayedteacher@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to our podcast.